Are you dressing up, Bill? Are you the dad that dresses up with his kids or
Dude,
no?
I had a hilarious idea for fucking Halloween. I was gonna go out as Mayfeld from The Mandalorian.
Oh my god, dude, that would be fucking so great, dude. And dress one of your kids up as
Yeah.
Baby Yoda. Oh my
And
god.
then when people came up to me, I would just say that it wasn't me.
Oh, that dude. That
No, it's a
is,
mask, man. It's a mask. This is just
dude. Oh my
fucking
god, that looks just like him.
go out and win a contest.
You fucked up if you lost.
Dude, I knew this. I knew this. Oh, that'd be great. Dude, I knew this fucking chick. She could sing her ass off. She used to work at Hilarities. Could sing her ass off. And she was a single mom. And she told me one night how she used to hustle karaoke. Where she would go down there,
That's great.
you know, where they would have a contest. I go, so what do you go in there and just fucking win the thing and make all this money? She goes, no, then you only get paid once. She would sing good enough to get third place. And then she'd come back a week later, sing good enough to get second place. I mean, just the control of her voice. And then it's like, all right, this is the money week. And then she'd just come out there. And I'm just picturing people being like, wow, man, she's really practicing. I mean, she's lucky she didn't get like, remember, you probably never saw this movie. Did you ever see The Hustler
Of course.
with
I
Paul
love The
Newman?
Hustler.
Yeah,
I love
remember when
The Hustler.
then they figure out he's hustling them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like she's lucky that didn't hit. Somebody gives her a fucking throat chop. But I was just like, I remember like listening to that story. I was like, dude, 2 times I was in Cleveland and like hanging at that bar, that martini bar. Love that club.
I love that bar.
And women told me these fucking amazing stories. I remember one time I was there and there was 2 women there. And like, hey, we enjoyed the show, blah, 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 blah. We start talking or whatever. And I go, so what do you guys do? And they go, we're gold diggers. They literally said that. I go, what? She goes, yeah, they laugh. Yeah, we're gold diggers. I go, all right, well, this is when Cleveland was really fucked up, you know, when
Were they fucking with you about your bit or no?
no. Like, I don't even know if they went to the show. They were just like hanging out. So I was like, all right, I'll bite here. How are you gold diggers in Cleveland? This place looks like it's going underwater. This is when Nick's Club was the only game in town on that 4th Street there.
4th Street, yeah.
I go, where do you go? And she broke the whole thing down. They would go to steakhouses and they would hang out at the bar. And you think about that, the kind of people that go to steakhouses, it's usually an older guy, you know, coming down there with the blue sport coat. They would go in, they would start chatting these guys up. Wow. And a lot of them had courtside seats to like the Cavaliers. And then they go to the Cavaliers game and then they try to make eye contact with the player. And then their deal was they never went to the bathroom at the same time because they kept an eye on their drinks. And they always made sure that they drove separately from the guys to the game.
What?
So they kept like the buffer. And she said, yeah, somewhere around the 3rd quarter, they would start realizing they weren't getting laid and they'd start getting mad. But hopefully by then, during a timeout, you were able to make eye contact with somebody. Dude, I sat there like I was doing a radio show with Joe DeRosa. I got their contact info and I was trying to get serious to like, we got to fly them in to tell these stories.
Dude, that's fascinating.
I mean, once they said steakhouse, I was like, holy shit. Every time I go to the steakhouse, there's those fucking big watch, cigar smoking fucking
100%.
marks. You're a fucking mark. And you're in your ego and you're crushing your business and you're a particular age and these 2 cuties are looking at you and yeah, I still got it. I'm still virile. It's still happening. And they're playing you.
Just throwing fastballs.
Yeah, what do you guys like to do? I don't know. I'm a big Cavs fan. Oh, I got a hookup. I'll take you to the game. It was amazing.
That's premeditated. That's like serial killer premeditated.
Dude, it was fucking amazing. Dude, I'm telling you, the two, I remember like, I would just sat there like this going like, I mean, that's fucking amazing. And I asked him everything. I go, so what happens like at the end of the night? And, you know, when those guys realized you played them or whatever, and she goes, yeah, sometime around the 3rd quarter, they realize they're not getting laid. And I'm just picturing the energy of that. And then what if this fucking steak drinking guy's had a few? But then what's the genius is they're in public. I mean, the whole fucking thing is just like it's
so
just worked out.
calculated. Yeah. But I thought, some of those girls would fuck. I mean, they are pieces of shit. Let's be honest.
I look at it this way. It's like at this point in my life, it's just like they didn't have the family structure they needed unless they were born that way. You know what I mean? Because there are people that are just born like those serial killers. They're just born just not caring or feeling
What
about
ages
things.
were these women? What ages would you say?
Oh God, dude, this is going back to like 2006, so I can't remember. They
But
they
like under
were
40? Under
oh
40 or
yeah,
no?
oh yeah, oh yeah,
Oh,
and
okay.
they weren't young either. They had some
Okay.
miles on them. But like they were off that night, I guess. So they were just telling me those stories or whatever.
That's
And
insane, dude.
yeah, dude, I've had some. I remember one time I got in a taxi cab when I was in San Francisco, and I got in there, and there was an Asian guy driving, and he had the most hardcore Southern accent I'd ever heard in my life, and I was like, this guy is a fucking star. Why? I remember calling the Opie and Anthony show, going, you got to get this guy on because he was fucking hilarious. And I got in, he's just like, hey, how y'all doing? I thought he was fucking with me. And I'm looking at his face and I'm hearing the accent and it just doesn't match. He's like, oh, I'm like, I'm doing good. He goes, oh, it's great, man. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? I'm just going like, what the fuck? And I finally go, what happened? He's like, oh, yeah, man, I grew up in Tennessee. I was like the only fucking Asian guy out there, da-da-da, and all this shit. And then and then it got even deeper. Because he asked me where I was. I said, I'm a comedian. I go, dude, you got to call in a radio show. You should be on like Howard Stern calling in. They would this like you could make money, dude. I've never met anybody like you. And he was fucking the coolest guy. And he said, oh man, I did that show business stuff for a little bit. And he started telling me, dude, he was an extra when they shot Dirty Harry, when it was in fucking San Francisco. He was one of the people up on the counter. He goes, watch it. He goes, I was a featured extra. He came in. I talked to him a little bit, but they didn't. They don't talk to you much when you're an extra. Just sitting there going like, oh my God. Yeah. I remember I got his phone number, and I either gave it to Opie or Anthony, and I can't remember what happened. They had so many, Pat from Munaki guys, but it was just like I was trying to explain. I was like, you got to get this guy in. This guy, and he had like was really into politics, so he was getting passionate, and the Southern accent. Well, I'll tell you what the fucking problem is when you got the public schools are going by the fucking wayside. He was cursing and all of this shit. And I have never met anybody like this guy in my life. And I didn't want the cab ride to end. And like, he had me laughing my ass off. He was funny as hell. Trying to dude, I've met some fucking people out there, on the road. And I'm telling you, if you just shut up and you listen to their stories, dude, like the fucking stories that some people have. Yeah. I mean, obviously, you meet like a veteran that saw action, you know what I mean? Like, but those guys aren't going to like really open up about it, if they really saw shit, you know what I mean? That's kind of what I learned with those guys. Like the guys that saw much less start really running their yaps. And the guys that are quiet, you're like, all right.
So there's a guy that I met in this business. I did a festival in Tucson, Arizona. And I just hear this guy like this really weird, and the whole place looked at him. And I met this guy, and he started doing comedy. He's one of the most fascinating people I ever met in my life. And I actually talked to Mike Berlina about doing this guy's story and animating his stories. This guy is like Forrest Gump. He wrote 2 books. He was a Vietnam vet. He was a bookie. He's got a book called Confessions of a Bronx Bookie. He tells me that the 1969, he's the guy I told you. He says that the 1969 Super Bowl was fixed and he could prove it. And then you talk to him. He was a freshman in college at the University.
Don't do that to Jet fans. Don't take their only title away.
No. Listen, this is. I don't know if he's trying to sell, but this dude was one of the most sober now. Was a freshman in college. It was like literally like back to school with Dangerfield. He was a freshman at college at the University of Florida at 53 years old. He got his writing degree. author, everything. And the guy just tells stories. So I had him on the podcast when we did it, All Things Comedy Festival. And I had Ryan Sickler and Court McCown and a couple people. And he came on talking. And everyone's like, who's this Billy O'Connor guy you're having on? I go, just watch. Dude, Ryan Sickler's face, everyone's like this. While he's talking, all these comedians who all we do is fucking blab and talk, we're just like this. He just went into stories about gambling. He went into stories about parlays and teases and what they think when that happens. He went into stories about like, owing people money, drinking, Vietnam, 9/11. And you're just like, and you could tell by his voice and who he was that it was, and he's a really generous, gracious guy. But like, you listen to a guy like that, you're like, what the fuck do I have to say? This guy.
Dude, I ran into a guy. I don't want to tell this guy's stories because I feel like someday he's going to write a book. He was a comedian. I'm going to try to tell this as light as I can to not take this guy's story. But basically, he used to work security for big rock bands. And one of his jobs was to figure out how people were going to sneak into the venue. And they were working some gig on an island. And he asked around, he figured it out, like the venue was like right up near the water where there was a harbor. It had like a fence, and these kids used to swim in, and they would hop the fence, and then they'd be in the venue. So him and his brother went down to the market, and they bought a bunch of horse meat, and they chummed the water right before the show and got a bunch of sharks in there.
What?
And no one snuck in.
Holy shit.
Dude, this guy...
Wow.
And all of this shit he told me, it all checked out because I remember he was saying he never wrote a book because if he wrote a book, then you don't get asked back by the band. And this one of his buddies, the band was going back out again, and he goes, hey, man, they're not asking me. And he goes, dude, you wrote a book. And this guy, he saw him on the tour. He saw him writing shit down on a little piece of paper, and he wrote a book. And, dude, it was the most obscure, out-of-print book. And he knew the title of it, and it was written by this security guy who was like in the early 70s. And I went online that night because the guy's stories were so mind-blowing. I was like, I got to fact check this. And I looked it up, and it fucking existed, you know, on like Amazon. You could buy some beat-up copy for like 99 cents. And, dude, this guy I was like, I go, why don't you just go on Letterman and tell these fucking stories? And he said, they've asked me to, and blah, blah, blah. He goes, I don't. He just was a loyal guy. He's like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So that's why I kind of told it like,
yeah,
as light as I could here. But
I love hearing good stories because a lot of times people always tell stories about, you hear this guy? Oh, I heard that guy's a piece of shit. Oh, yeah, this guy on an airplane. But I love hearing stories about the dopest story, the most gangster shit I ever heard in show business. I mean, there's a couple of stories. There's a couple of comedians that did shit. Jay Leno has some epic ones, but the dopest shit I ever heard in my life was there's a famous Thai restaurant. There's a famous Thai restaurant in Vegas, right? It's fucking known. I forget. Locust something. It's huge, known. And it's Christmas time. And fucking Smokey Robinson is in there. And he's fucking eating place is packed. And this fucking dude, people are going nuts that he's in there. This fucking dude goes up to the owner. He gives his card. He pays for everybody. And this is everybody proved this too. That I heard this from multiple people. He paid for everybody in the Thai restaurant's dinner, and then sang White Christmas, and then left. Dude, yeah. He sang White Christmas while people were eating during Christmas time and paid the bills and left. That's the most fucking gangster shit, dude.
It is, but I gotta admit, if I was there, that'd be super awkward. I'd be like, dude, you don't have to pay. Just please stop singing. You don't have to. Appreciate it.
Smokey, no. Dude, that'd be like Sinatra, though. Like Sinatra just being like, hey, everybody, I just, and then just.
The summer wind came blowing in, and he's standing right next to you.
Like this.
And you're like looking down from across the sea. Is he going to sing both verses? All right, Frank, thanks, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate it. I didn't bug you during the meal. Like, why are you bugging me now? It lingered there.
That is funny. After the second verse, you're like,
here. Yeah. I'm like you. I like to be left alone. And walk with me.
Yeah, Yeah, you ever had to tell everybody he paid for the dinner so they were in it?
He's eating with his horn section. They pull out their horns all summer long. They sang along.
Oh shit.
Um.
Oh fuck. No.
Anyway,
great story.
I gotta kind of like wrap this thing up, dude, because like I have to have this copy of the script done by tonight. Oh, we're gonna be burning the midnight oil. I cannot wait for tomorrow, Paul, because the script will be done, and I can just
That's
go back
awesome.
to my regular workload. I have no idea if the Celtics started playing. I have no idea what their record is. How they doing?
No, the Celtics went into a good Charlotte team and won. That kid, that kid, what's his name? Jaylen Brown, dude. He fucking yammed it on some kid hard. It was like
It's Jalen and Jason Tatum's team. It's been their team forever, and I think they finally cleared out the way,
Dude, he didn't dunk on this guy. He dunked on this guy and then put his dick in his mouth, dude.
That guy's amazing.
No,
him and Jason Tatum are what everybody knows they need to build around. Those are our future, and they're super young. And you just got me excited to watch the Celtics.
No, he dropped 42 in front of me and my son, and it was a great game.
Hey, Paul, I got the fucking NBA package and I got the center ice package. All right,
I'll get the NFL package. You think
I got the NFL? I got all the packages, Paul. I got them all.
Guys, this has been our Halloween episode 39. By the way, thank you all